Jordan, day 3, PAX. I've been running around tired, just had lunch, thankfully. Had to get it in while I could. But we're taking a look here at Forced. I got Steffen here from the team, who's gonna kind of give us a quick review, tell us what it's about. It's a tactical game. You're trying to, build on the co-op thing that's been trying to build up lately. I mean, a lot of people play MOBAs. So it's nice to see that you're kind of going a little bit of a different direction and trying to give people other options.
Yep.
So why don't you tell our viewers kind of what to look for in the game?
So Forced is pretty, the one term for that would be like it's gladiator football. You are in an arena and you play cooperatively, and then you have like this spirit mentor that guides you all the way through the different arenas. And he's like shared by all the characters. So what you do there is you just press a button and then you call him to your position. And then so cooperatively you have to navigate him around and pick up powers and things like that. So there's a huge tactical element in that.
Yeah, and when I was talking earlier, saying that you kind of have to use the spirit mentor, like everyone has to have it at a chance. It's not like you can have someone that's just being a ball hog essentially the whole time and
everybody would suffer from that.
Yeah.
A ball hogger.
when you're trying to introduce a new kind of dynamic like that, what kind of challenges, I mean, when you have a game that you're trying to stand out from the whole crowd of, those team-based games?
Well, basically it's not a MOBA, it's more like an effort to do a MOBA that's cooperative, so right. it's not PvP, it's co-op only, and it's like a long campaign. Also, it's really distinguished in the way that it's dual stick control, so it's not like in Diablo, for instance, where you have to stand still and attack. Here you can move while you attack and so on. It sounds like it's a small thing, but it really changes the action. Mm-hmm. Also, every kind of damage that can hit you can be avoided. And the damage in Diablo it's more like taking damage and managing your health. Here it's just avoid everything. So it's more like an arcade game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're playing on the kind of the reactionary, but you're not trying to just kind of force people through it in the sense that, button mash, go. You're going to have to use some tactics, use some teamwork.
Yeah.
And actively try to play the game rather than just be passive through it, if you would.
Yeah, and I think that's also what you can recognize in MOBA games. Yeah, you really have to think about when you use your abilities, and in that way it becomes hugely based on your efforts in the game.
Mm-hmm. And I know you guys have a campaign. You kind of have a little bit of a story back to it. Did you find a challenge to put a story in a game like this? Just in terms, I mean, when people jump into games nowadays, they don't always look for any semblance to story. It's like, let's just jump into it. So
yeah, we wanted like a cool reason to go through the game, and but also like a simple story, because the game is much about combat and just playing with your game with your friends. But the setting is hugely inspired by the Gladiator movie with Russell Crowe. There's just no Russell Crowe. It's more like you're slaves and you're forced to fight, and you fight for recognition in order to win your freedom potentially. So you have to pass 5 big exams, and those are basically boss fights. Those are your examinators that sort of tells you whether or not you're passed. And if you don't pass, you're killed.
and yeah, when passing or noting on Gladiator, you guys actually, I mean, your backdrop is kind of similar, or it's inspired by that to a degree. I mean, you have the Romanesque columns. I mean, you're trying to be an arena.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that you play off that, you riff off that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I really, really like the Gladiator movie. I just wanted like a gladiator setting where there's also huge monsters. I mean, how cool is that?
And you have pretty diverse characters too. It's not like you're just
trueness.
Not something like Gladiator, where you have you might have your guy with your pole arm, you might have a sword and shield specialist.
Yeah.
You're quite a bit out there more.
Yeah, we have, for instance, a Captain America guy with a frost shield, and what I really like about him is that he has to aim at his opponents in order to block. So if he's not facing them, he won't block them, and that way it sort of becomes even more emphasized that it's action and you have to maneuver around.
And on that note, do you have characters that will help kind of, keep everybody alive? Because how sometimes you have your utilities, but thinking back to gladiatorial times, you might have someone that it's their job to trip someone up or trap someone.
Like a netter.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. We have definitely a lot of initiation, and all the characters can do that. We built a combat system in the game that's called marks. So what your basic attacks do is that they add a mark to an enemy, and then every character has certain abilities that can consume those marks to deal special damages. And so you would have different initiator roles and someone who really deals the damage, but you have to do that sort of in a co-op combination.
Mm-hmm. And with that, are your characters building on their skills over time?
Yeah, the level up, so you can get like every character has 8 activatable abilities and 8 passives, and you can choose 3 of each, and you can constantly sort of re-customize your character before each trial, and that sort of allows a lot of customization.
Since you're aiming to survive over time, obviously you're going to be scaling difficulties. Are you creating tile sets and different arrangements to help strengthen that challenge? I mean, more than just throwing monster A or monster B.
Basically, you go through a campaign, so it's like level-based. It's actually inspired by Crash Bandicoot.
Okay.
So you can collect 3 crystals in each trial. There's a total of 29 trials, and each of them are hugely different. And you have certain objectives. You can see up in the right corner, almost like in World of Warcraft. So you have to sort of play by the rules of a certain arena, and they are really, really different. We even have puzzles arenas where there's no monsters. There's just evil lasers that you have to sort of dodge.
Did you think about that kind of stuff when you're creating the dynamic for co-op? Mostly, trying to think of the right way to put it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I want to like draw on the gladiator inspiration. Everybody had their kind of expertise, their specialty against certain things. Like you would have your beastmasters, or you brought back the chariots, and you have to look at it a different way. Or when they recreated the battle where they had to group up together and huddle and.
It's cool that you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No. But I was just gonna say, have you tried to build events or kind of specialties that would help those certain situations out more?
In a way, but it's also cool that you sort of know so much about gladiators. I mean, in the ancient Rome, they were also sort of designed to be weak at certain spots. So they, for example, have only armor on one leg and one side of their arm, and so they were designed to also be vulnerable. And in that way, there's definitely something like that in the boss fights, where the players have to sort of obey certain rules, and there's. Yeah, it is like a game in a game in that way, because you have to sort of obey the rules. And the spirit mentor sometimes also puts out a prison around you, like a round ring, and you step over that border, he will electrocute you.
Oh.
So in that way, there's also a game in the game.
So you have almost like a referee, for instance, in that.
Yeah, it's like a judge.
That's kind of interesting, because you have your objective and referee kind of in one.
Yeah. He is your mentor that also trains you, and he has to also obey the rules.
Right. For the back to the story bits, did you find it? I mean, obviously you're being inspired huge by a brutal time in history. Did you find that challenging to not try to? Obviously, when you make a game, you want to sell as many as you can and try to not exclude people. Did you consider that by drawing some of it back, by introducing more of the magical elements in terms of it's fantastical, or did you just kind of say screw it and we'll kind of give it our own spin?
Yeah, we also at some point we actually considered like doing it more realistic, that you don't have fireballs and things like that. But it's much easier to design interesting mechanics when you can do that. So it's also much easier when we can sometimes put in like a huge demon bull that you have to meet in the arena instead of just a huge man. So it gives us more flexibility when we can draw in the fantasy universe as well.
And with your boss fights, are you focusing them more towards like the casual person to be able to complete them, or is it going to be like we need to work together every time to get this done?
Definitely number 2.
Okay.
We are actually inspired by Demon Souls difficulty, and our philosophy is that your motivation for trying again is much higher when you're playing together with other people.
Fantastic. So if you're playing on that level of difficulty, are you giving people the option to like work around it a couple of different ways, or is it always going to be more of a linear path to complete that?
No, in that way it's actually also inspired by Crash Bandicoot. So once you open a new world, you have access to all the levels there, but you have to complete 4 out of 5 of them to proceed. So you can leave one behind. And in that way, if you have like one level that's really, really tricky and you can't figure it out, you can leave that behind. But you have to complete 4 of them.
Fantastic. It's nice to see you're giving them options too, so it's not just do this and do it now, do it right. But you guys are available now, correct?
Yeah, on Steam Early Access.
Steam Early Access. Are you doing any kind of special bundle? I mean, because you know how people go through the green system and everything like that. Is it they get alpha access now, and then do they get any perks if they purchase ahead of time?
They just get it cheaper.
cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be more expensive once it's released, and that'll be 24th of October.
Okay.
Yeah. And it'll also come on next-gen consoles.
Consoles? Are you looking at next gen or just doing?
Just next gen.
Just next gen.
Xbox One, PS4, Wii U.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Well, I want to thank you for taking a little bit of time with me today. I do appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right. Till next time, guys.